I first watched this movie way back in 2019. One time and one time only. I really enjoyed it, and I still really enjoy it. Not as much, but I still think it's a pretty solid movie, solid plot, interesting concept, talented actors. I will say the comedy really isn't for me. I do not like Mike Myers' comedy. It's not very funny. A lot of the jokes are repeated, and a lot of the jokes just aren't funny. Like, he laughs at his own jokes, and he plays a comedian in this movie. But in my opinion, just not funny. But let's get to the movie. The movie's pretty simple. It's about Mike Myers, who plays a guy who is not very lucky with the ladies. He dates them for a while, but then he gets too scared to fully commit, and then he finds a reason to break up with him. One of them, he says that the girl stole his cat. The other ones, which I still think this joke's pretty funny. I found it funny back then too. It's just a simple, dumb answer that he broke up with her because she smelled like soup. And it's just like such a weird thing to break up with someone over. Uh, the one guy that won an Oscar for Little Miss Sunshine is in here for two scenes. I remembered his character before I even rewatched it, but I did not remember it was him that played it. He plays a too nice cop. He's the sheriff or whatever you want to say, the boss of the, police department is. And, Mike Myers' friend is a cop who's undercover in the first scene of the movie. He's just whatever. He's fine. But he's like, hey, you're too nice. Why can't you be like this cop TV show that I watch where he's always getting yelled at by his boss? So that leads to a later joke when the movie's only got like 20 minutes left because he's only in two scenes where he kicks the door down, he's cussing at him, he's yelling at him, he's telling him that he better get the job done and to not screw it up. And it's just kind of a heartwarming, fun moment to, have the cop pretend to be an asshole just to please the guy. It's kind of funny. So I do want to mention this real quick. I had remembered that this movie was named So I Accidentally Married an Axe Murderer. But apparently it's just So I Married an Axe Murderer. Like it's starting off a joke. There's some decent jokes here and there, but again, most of the comedy isn't for me. Mike Myers ends up deciding to finally commit to a woman, and she might be a murderer. So he tries to let the red flags go, which he usually wouldn't do, because he usually tries to find an excuse to break up with these women. But eventually it's too much, and he decides to break it off with her, only to realize that she's not the murderer and to get back with her. Only for, once again, him to start having suspicions that she is a murderer. It turns out that the actual murderer has been her sister this whole time. That every time she gets close to a man, the sister gets jealous and murders the man. And I think it's a pretty interesting plot twist. She was in a handful of scenes. She wasn't a too well developed character. Hell, we saw Mike Myers' dad more than we saw her. And Mike Myers' dad is just Mike Myers, which, he does play well, but still. Anyway, they do end with like a joke at the end of the movie about her being a murderer, and he's doing the comedy set in front of her sister. And you think that would be a very traumatizing thing. I get this is a comedy movie, so we shouldn't take it too seriously. But she just found out that all her ruined relationships, where she was scared to get into a relationship with a man again because all of them were seemingly running away right before marriage, she finds out her sister has actually been killing them. That all those men didn't leave her. That they didn't write notes saying that they were not going to marry her anymore, that they changed their mind. That they were murdered. And not only murdered, but by her own sister. And the movie just kind of glosses over that fact, which is just really weird to me. But overall, very fun movie.